You know, you can get lost in a rabbit hole when you're pursuing self-help, spirituality. So many people out there, especially in the West for us, where spirituality itself is only becoming more popular by the decades, but technically speaking, throughout ancient history, the West was more physically focused, and then the East, from Asia, was more spiritually focused initially. That's how the differences were. Now East and West are obviously coming together, where spirituality has invaded sort of, you could say, the Western world societies, which is a good thing. So the invasion is not like in a bad manner or anything. It's sort of like it just came into societies over here in the West, in Europe and America, all these places. And more people became aware that there might be more to this life than meets the physical eyes. And there is. There most certainly is, because of all kinds of scientific reasons as well, if you were to deeply look into the whole reality itself, even not so much on a spiritual level of studies, but a scientific level of studies. You could already discover all kinds of stuff that is very interesting in quantum physics, etc. But this video is more about the fact that people go on this supposed spiritual journey, and it really helps them, hopefully, and in many cases it does, but it also creates a lot of people that become a sort of delusional, and where their friends say, well, he or she has changed, but not for the better. They talk about all these spiritual things, and then they start to ignore all kinds of things, physically speaking, and actually their lives are just becoming a bit crazy and weird, and like they're out of touch with reality, so to speak. And so there's a certain percentage of people out there where spirituality has actually a negative effect on them and their lives and the people around them, and they perhaps might not realize it themselves, because they're actually living from some kind of strict dogma and creeds that in a way are boxing their minds in all over again differently. It's very important to keep an open mind, to be open to all possibilities. So even though you study spirituality and you discover new powers concerning your actual self, it's always important to keep an open mind and look at the facts as well, and look at the darkness especially. You see, that's a theme that is going to come up more and more starting this year, and it's not meant to be pessimistic, but actually to help make clear a bigger picture of what we're dealing with here as spiritual beings, having this temporary human experience. Because most people spend all of their lives, if they are into self-help, studying things that teach them more about themselves, about their own spiritual power. But what is often overlooked is also to study the nature of this reality, and especially to confront the dark side. Because even though we want to focus on the divine, the heavenly, we must not forget in this reality we are also dealing with the polar opposite, darkness and evilness. And by combining the knowledge of your own power and the nature of this dark reality, you can learn to navigate it more effectively, because otherwise it keeps you inside a maze or matrix of matter. This world, as Neville, Goddard and others wise spiritual texts have said, is a shadow world, a bad copy from true infinite reality, etc. There are many words used throughout many ancient texts trying to convey that this world is not what it appears to be, or it is at least not as wonderful as we try to make it out to be. And we know this by simply looking around at all the fucking chaos everywhere. Is this a heavenly place? No, not really. Can we make it one? In theory. Will it ever happen? Probably not. People do hope for it to happen, but I'd say why not just escape this realm altogether through breaking your spirit free from it all? Then you can enter the higher realms in which your own imagination can manifest instantly whatsoever you want. There is no need for food or water as we know it down here, physically speaking. All this damn suffering, man. It's nasty in 3D reality. Now, just because something is demonic to me doesn't mean it's demonic to others. The devil will approach them by their own weaknesses, that much is true. For me it was alcohol, for someone else it can be something entirely different, through which he will make himself known. So I know, for example, that alcohol is a demonic substance, something very evil. However, others who still enjoy having a glass of wine or a beer with a nice meal or with friends after work, they might not experience it as such, which is totally fine. There will be some other area that already exists or has yet to happen through which they are confronted with their own demonic struggles. Things that will drag them down, and they will have to also overcome it by raising their level of consciousness beyond the darkness of this world to become free. The light, this term light, in ancient texts, it's source consciousness, God awareness, beyond the physical universe. Can you connect with it? That is a question to ponder. Can I connect with that source? If not, let me figure out how to do it. Let me call upon my own infinite self to know how to do it. The answer comes in through the intuition of the heart. In the dimensions beyond the physical universe itself exists reality in total harmony. There you can find lions with white hair, resting among mankind, and wondering, why are you worried about us existing among men? Oh, I see you are one of those from the material dream of delusion, where everything kills and eats each other in order to survive. Well, that is not the case for us up here. How do I know this? From where do I make this claim? From my own personal experience of having been to such realms of being. Now, people are obsessed with getting things in this dark shadow world, but I suggest that rather we want to put our attention on injecting light into this dark world so the things we do, create or leave behind can be of some benefit to others going through the same dark journey of physical existence. My addiction and my scars are proof that I tried to destroy something about myself, and the thing I tried to destroy symbolically through these methods was my phantom self, my ego. But now that I'm breaking the chains of phantom self that tied down my true infinite self, I no longer would need alcohol or have to cut myself to symbolically try to get rid of that prison of my spirit. It reached the ultimate conclusion in the idea of suicide and the making of plans to end myself. But what did I want to end? Phantom self, ego, to rip off this mind virus that is trying to limit me and blind me from who I really am, which is infinite awareness, and you are in the same predicament whether you realize it or not. If you can rip off this parasite, this invisible virus that is controlling your infinite awareness, you too can be free and suddenly see the truth of this whole dimension. It is one giant illusion meant to keep you distracted and trapped in three-dimensional space. After physical death, you are then compelled to keep coming back to another physical journey, to keep on being stuck in this cycle. So break free from your phantom self. Imagine it, as morbid as it may seem, a parasite, an invisible parasite latched onto your consciousness unbeknownst to you. Initially it blinds you and keeps you hypnotized by physical delusion. When you rip it off, suddenly you can start to experience and perceive the bigger picture of who you really are. When we become aware, when we're dreaming at night, the body tries to wake you up. It is the body that forces you to come back to three-dimensional space. But you can tell the body to not wake up in response and extend the lucid dream. What I find fascinating about this is that when the body dies and we enter an expanded reality, if we are not fully aware of our own power, just like when we are lucid dreaming, something or someone might as well then try to make us go back to another physical life, to remain stuck in the reincarnation cycle. So in my opinion, it is a demonic aspect about the physical body that is trying to force consciousness to wake up to three-dimensional reality when you are becoming aware of other realms and realities during a lucid dream or astral projection. But you can extend it all by refusing to go along with the thought that you need to wake up physically. It will be the same after death in the astral world, where things can try to lure you back to another physical life all over again. We want to prepare ourselves for this beforehand by expanding our awareness, by remembering who we really are, infinite awareness, that can decide for itself what it wants, and doesn't need to be told by the body or some dark entities what to do. Everything is energy, so everything is connected. It is an illusion that things are separated from one another. If you look at the stars at night, they seem to be far away, but actually you're still connected to them energetically. So they are not far away, but only a frequency away, or perception away. If you expand your awareness beyond 3D reality, you would perceive way more of this unity that really exists throughout creation. You can then also visit such locations instantly by moving your awareness across what we experience as time and space, for it's an illusion that things are far away. Unity is the only reality. But yet again, as you can clearly notice, normal physical awareness hides these facts from us and keeps us ignorant. This dimension truly has an evil effect on infinite self. You see, many people don't want to really consider that. Oh, that sounds so pessimistic or dark. Yeah, don't stick your head into the sand. By shining light onto this darkness that we all are going through, we can actually learn something and become even more spiritually strong and aware and grow. To actually grow. To outgrow physicality. That's what it's about in the end. To outgrow the physical side of existence into total unity with all there is. So one group of people only live through the senses and take everything serious as it confronts them physically. Another group is spiritually focused and tries to see the world from a purely positive point of view. A third group is spiritually focused but considers both the light and darkness, in order to effectively navigate this maze of physicality towards the true freedom of spirit. So I've noticed this phenomena. One group of people live through the senses, only know the physical world and ego. The next group studies spirituality and then say this world is great. Reincarnation is to learn lessons and grow, all that jazz. And then a third group, which I now classify myself in, looks at this world and studies spirituality, but also dares to look at the darkness and speak of that darkness that keeps so many stuck regardless of whether nature is so beautiful. Yeah, and the key point remains, it's temporary. So why the hell are we losing our minds? Oh, that is because we take the journey in ego too serious, and all the drama we might encounter along the way. But once we realize this clearly, we can stop doing it and take back control of our own awareness. We both have noticed how the ego likes to chatter on and on. You see, I say we both in this journal entry because I'm actually talking about me and a friend of mine during conversations that we have. And we notice this pattern, how the ego likes to chatter on and on in the mind. And now we say to that, go fuck yourself. Constantly, if the ego tries to drag us down, which is because of noticing the differences between infinite awareness and ego, what's even more disturbing is the realization that many of the thoughts we think are not even ours. They are just there because we are programmed to think them, especially with negative thoughts of the ego. They have nothing to do with infinite awareness. Yet we have those damn intrusive thoughts and moods nagging us as long as we live in this dimension. And many sadly go along with those thoughts and moods, and that is why life becomes one giant shit show. So those negative thoughts need to be mentioned, which I'll keep doing on videos. To some it might seem too dark, but it has to be mentioned. There's some kind of mental programming going on trying to get us to go along with it when it's to our detriment if we do so. Ancient writers mentioned that a demonic influence came to this earth, which is what I'm studying these days, but it does help clarify some weird shit I too experience with some seeing demonic beings when I'm not in this dimension, seeing the devil or just demonic beings. I've had that happen, and the ancient stories seem to claim that those beings exist to mess with humanity in secret, since most can't see them after all. To me, it therefore seems important to bring the darkness to light, to not just fluffy talk constantly saying we are children of God and everything will be fine. It is true, everything will be fine, if we finally remember and grasp our true nature as infinite awareness beyond the ego. But until that time, most will simply just suffer or are being delusional about the whole situation. See, you come back to those people studying spirituality and they almost fake pretend that everything is so nice. No, it's all great down here. We're here to learn lessons, etc. But meanwhile, they're kind of being delusional, knowing there's so much darkness and they're actually not daring to look at that and to name it. But you can become even more spiritually powerful and aware by doing just that. To know, yeah, there's wonderful things, there are divine things, great, beautiful things. But let's not forget, there's also a huge amount of darkness trying to drag us all over the place and drag us down, keep us stuck. And by seeing both sides, we can then work effectively. We can be smart about this. In my case, that's exactly what I'm working on these days. And I hope you consider that concept for yourself as you go through this journey. The 3 groups of people I just mentioned. Really take some time to contemplate it for yourself. You see a large percentage of people only living through the senses, taking their ego and everything that's happening seriously, extremely seriously, to the point that it actually messes with them in a negative way. Then you have this other group of people study spirituality and they become a little delusional in the sense of they start to sort of deny admitting the darkness that might still be in their lives, and then they're not really fixing it, and so it's almost like pretending that everything is nice, but even their friends can notice, well, you seem to be clearly suffering greatly. We can tell that you're only forcing yourself to seem all positive, right? Almost like mind control in a different way. And then you have that smaller percentage of people that actually look at both sides, the light and the dark, in order to grow, truly grow, inwardly through their own expansion of awareness of these matters, and then figuring out the way to get out of this mess for themselves. You see, don't get lost in the rabbit hole of metaphysical teachings. Keep it simple. It's all about you rediscovering who you really are beyond your own ego, which is phantom self. And then if you discover your true nature, which is infinite self, then you'll have a foundation from which you can approach everything in your physical journey from a very wise angle, that it will always help you overcome all kinds of struggles that you will face as you go through this journey. Because there will be struggles. No matter how much we try to make it all seem nice and great out here, this world has a lot of darkness in it as well, and the beauty of nature is actually just a tiny reflection of the true beauty of the higher heavenly realms that exist beyond the universe. Yes, this stuff all needs a lot of contemplation, but it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Really think about these matters for yourself and don't get lost in the maze of the ego and physicality.